Okay, and we are back, as I had mentioned, and I am going to be connecting with a comic artist. She is Kenyan, but she resides in the US of A, in New York City, and she has a comic print that is already out. She actually has two. She has the very latest one, which we are going to be talking about. It goes by the name Instincts, and if we may just get to her right now. Yeah, do we have her? We have her. We can't see her. Okay, there you are. How are you? I'm to be having a problem connecting with her. Her name is Natasha. Hi, Natasha, if you can hear me. Okay, we're going to work on that particular. We're having some technical hitches right there, but her name is Natasha Matalanga, joining us all the way from New York City. She is a comic artist. Do you know who a comic artist is, by the way? Najua watu wengi hawajui comic artist ni nini. Wacha niwachanue. Comic artist ni wale unaonanga, it's like, you see like a magazine, but not really a magazine. It's a print. Alafu ni zile zenye kuna kuanga na bubble hivi kwa writing. So kuna character, and then there's a bubble inaandikwa hapa ati Kenya anasema, you get it? Okay. Alafu kuna mwingine Kenya anasema inaandikwa, you know, not really cartoon, but it can just be people but wamechorwa, they've been illustrated, and then there are those bubbles you write. Exactly. Those writings, by the way, I understand that it's called lettering and not words. It's called lettering and not words. So I don't know if we're back with her. We have that interview where we just talk about the comic world so that we get to understand. It will be a first right here on Entertainment Thursday, because we've not had a comic artist ever on the show. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't recall ever having a comic artist right here. So it will be a really good conversation, because we will be getting to know how their thought process goes, like, you know, what one needs to do in order to get into that field, and so on and so forth. I don't know if we are having Natasha. Sorry? Okay, she's not ready. At the moment, I think we can get into some music before we come back with that interview as they sort that technical problem. Okay, that will be sorted. DJ, I don't know what you've seen has been happening in the entertainment world, and you can tell us about.
For me, about the TikTok. TikTok, the way when you walikuwa wamekuja wakasema ati wanataka kuiban, for me, it was not a good idea by the kuban. But I think our president alisikiza, saizi at least they need to moderate what is the content that is supposed to be posted pale kwa TikTok, because a lot of people are earning from that platform. So the moment wanaiban, itakuwa very sad to other people outside there. Yeah,
but you know also there are countries that have actually banned, actually just recently Somalia got to ban TikTok and Telegram. So it's actually possible. Not all it's actually possible, but it's a good thing to see that our president understands that people
exactly.
are employed by TikTok, not, you know, directly but indirectly, because that is where they do their hustle, and that is where they make their money. So it's a good thing to see that.
True.
One more thing that I had forgot to mention on our trends is, and this, I don't know why I forgot this, because this has been trending like all week long, and that is Diana. Diana Bahati has been trending. Did you see her trending? You know, they had shared pictures, you know, family pictures that they had taken. Lakini kusema ukweli ni kupiga family.
Alichoma.
Family photo, bro.
No. Hapo alichoma. For real?
As much as we're saying my dress, my choice, which I am for that, by the way, it doesn't matter. However you want to dress your body, however, as long as you feel free and you're okay and you're comfortable, it's fine. But we need to draw the line somewhere. We actually do need to draw the line somewhere.
You're really under overboard, that one. And keeping in mind that you have your son beside you.
Yeah.
It shows.
It was hapo alichoma. Hapo di ulichoma kusema tu kweli. Anyway, I believe Natasha is ready and we have sorted that technical problem. If we can just get back to that interview. Hi Natasha, how are you?
Hello Vivian, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's good to have you on the show. How is New York?
New York is good. It's getting a little bit chilly, but it's very nice. How is back home? How is Nairobi?
Nairobi is doing well. We are doing well right here in Nairobi. And the weather right now is getting back to being our usual kind of weather. That is, it's getting a bit warm and sunny and we are loving it.
Okay, that's good.
All right, if you can just get direct into you introducing yourself to us and letting us know exactly what it is that you do.
Well, my name is Natasha and I am a comic artist and illustrator. I am the founder and the editor of Instinct magazine. Instinct magazine is a zine that's a collection of short comics, writings, and illustrations that talk about the day-to-day intricacies of life from a feminine lens. Yeah.
All right, for someone who's watching and they would love to get a better understanding of who exactly is a comic artist, how would you answer that?
I would say a comic artist is a storyteller who tells stories using pictures and words. So you have to first draw it and then you just use words to describe what the people are saying and what they're doing.
What made you decide to get into that industry?
At first, I thought I wanted to get into animation. So I have always been more of a storyteller and I've always liked experimenting with video. So when it came to going to college, I knew that I wanted to do something in art and I thought that I was going to do animation. However, it came that my talents were more into the storytelling aspect as opposed to the nitty-gritty of animating. And so I chose to study comic art, which is the pre-production when it comes to animation.
I get you. What are the most common features of comic?
Sorry, could you say that one more time?
What are the most common, the common features of a comic?
That's a good question. I would say panels. So each comic is divided into tiny squares that tell a narrative to get you from point A to point B. The second feature I would say is the word bubbles, like you were talking about the letter earlier on. And I would say the third feature is the characters. So the people or the animals sometimes that are interacting in the comic.
According to you, what makes a good comic writer and a good comic story?
I would say humor and vulnerability. I think for all artists, speaking their own truth and showing their lens as vulnerably as they can is what makes a very good story.
Okay. If we can get into Instincts, the comic magazine that you just released, I believe last month. Was it last month or the month after, if you may correct me? And just tell me about Instincts, the magazine.
So I actually published the second issue of Instincts on the 10th of August. The first issue was published on the 11th of November 2022. And it's I'm very grateful to be able to have published the second issue just a few weeks ago. The two issues are different in that the first issue I did it all on my own, so all the stories were me. But for the second issue, I put a call for other artists mainly female artists, to join me and submit their work. So for this issue, our theme was ignorance is bliss. And we have a lot of interesting stories talking about ignorance is bliss, from the captivating nature of starting something new and being very wide-eyed and naive, to ignoring your problems to your detriment, which I think is very interesting.
I would love to know how you came up with the characters and what inspired the characters that are on Instincts.
I am very inspired by the people around me. I believe we should tell the story of the people around us, and we should tell our stories so we can archive what's going on right now for future generations. And for me, I'm very lucky to be surrounded by amazing people that inspire me every day. I have one comic called Girls, 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 and it's directly influenced by my closest friends in school. And I have another comic called On Some Days, and for that one, that's a personal narrative that is influenced by my struggles day to day.
I get you. How many characters are on Instincts?
Oh, there's so many. So because it's an anthology, it has different kinds of comics. So for Girls, 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 right now it has up to 6 main characters. 7 main characters, actually. And I had another comic artist called Katia Naftali. She's more scientific, and it was about babies and the bacteria that babies are born with. So that one is like a single character comic. I have one called The Birds of Savannah, and that one is like, it has like lions and like birds in it. So each comic is very different. Some of them have only 1 character, some of them have up to like 10 characters even.
So inside Instincts, you have different stories in it, right? If I got you right? And you've collaborated with different writers on this particular magazine. If you can just let me know how you got to pick who to work with.
So what I did was I put an open call out on Instagram, and I also sent it to different news outlets. And I had a submission portal, and a lot of artists put in their work, and they put in their drawings, their writings, and I had to just go through to see which one would fit. So in this way, I also acted as a kind of curator for the magazine. For a lot of them, I had seen their work around, and I asked them directly, and I asked, "Hi, could you just submit your work? I think it would go very, very well in the magazine." And they were very interested in what I was doing, and it worked out for everyone.
Okay, I'd love to understand the collaborations in comic, we're used to hosting artists, and the collaboration is kind of the artist who has the idea of the music comes up with a topic, and then they share it with the people who they want to be part of the collaboration. So when you're doing your collaborations, do you give them a topic, or you just let them go as wild as they can go with their imagination?
So everyone's process is different when it comes to making comics. For some people, there will be one comic, but it will be a team of 5 people working on it. So you'll have someone doing like the nails, writing the story, and then someone who's drawing it, someone who's inking it, and someone who's coloring. I personally have worked alone on my comic work, so I just kind of have the idea and I go along with it. I prefer to also allow people to just have an idea and go along with it, because you can't really put art or a narrative in a box. You just have to let someone, you just have to let it grow. You just have to plant the seed and let it grow. Yeah.
All right. I'd love to understand your thought process when you're coming up with a topic, and also just the writings in the comic. How is your thought process? If you can just take us through that.
So initially, I like to just draw as much as I can. I also like to journal and just see, what is happening in my life, maybe something that is bothering me or something that is interesting, because the thing about inspiration is that it's very random. So you just have to keep on sharpening your tool and creating your art and, sharpening your writing. So the day that the inspiration hits you, you can create it very well. So to do that, I just go outside. I try to sketch as much as possible. I try to ideate characters as much as possible. I try to talk to as many people as possible to also find different types of concepts and ideas and perspectives. And the day that I feel something very, very strongly, those are my best comics. If I just write a comic and I'm not really feeling it, the comic won't come out too well. But the day that I'm affected personally and I have to write it out, that's going to be a good comic.
Yeah, and I forgot to talk about the drawings, on your background. Are those your personal drawings? I don't know if they're sketches, if they're drawings. You can just tell me a bit about what is on your background.
These are actually snippets from the new Instinct comic. I like to have them up just so I can have reference as I'm drawing them. I have this one right on this side, and this is Girls, Girls, Girls. So this is a recurring comic that's going to be in every single issue of Instinct, and it's also up on our website that's free for everyone to use. And then I have some of the prints that I made. This is like a goddess from Central Africa called Ngari Amwash, and she's like she's a female goddess. She's supposed to be one of the entities of the first royal family. And this is the first one of On Some Days. So I really like to work traditionally, and then I scan it in. But for other artists, they also work digitally. Okay,
yeah. Okay, I hear you. They look amazing. We can't see them like very well, but just from the snippets or the much we can see, it looks really nice. What would you? You're welcome. What would you say makes a comic interesting? And how do you know as you're writing that this one is actually going to be a good one?
Well, for me, I have to I'm always nervous when I put out my work. I'm not going to lie, I'm always very nervous when I put out my work. But luckily, other people tell me that, actually I felt this also. Thank you for putting that into words. And I think that's what art does a lot of the time. Art takes this feeling that you're never able to describe, and it puts it into, it just draws it out, and you look at it and you're like, oh, that's exactly what I'm feeling. I don't know what that means, but I know that I feel it. So I think that's what makes a comic interesting, something that is very vulnerable and something that is true. Yeah, I think it has to have some truth too.
Okay. Every artist has a particular or unique way of just showcasing their art. What would you say makes you as Natasha stand out as a comic artist?
I think I'm very dedicated to writing stories about women. And I've very much been vocal about writing stories about women. When I started doing comics, it felt a little bit like a boys' game, because sometimes it's mostly about superheroes or about sports and that kind of thing. So I really wanted to carve a niche out for women. And there's a lot of comics out there for women as well, but I still wanted to go in that route. I think another thing that defines my art is it's very bold. I use a lot of bold colors. A lot of people say that when they look at my work, it's just bright and stunning. And I really try to use as many saturated colors as possible, just because I like them a lot. Yeah, I really like saturated colors a lot.
All right, and I agree that your work is just stunning, as you said. It is stunning, because I've gone through Instinct, and it just looks really nice. It attracts you to just get to read whatever is in that particular print. I'd also love for you to clarify for us, or let us know, if the structure of comic is the same as any other story. Like for any other story, you begin with an intro, there's the middle bit, and then there's the conclusion of a story. Do you go through the same structure when doing comic writing?
You can definitely go through that kind of structure if you'd like. but it depends on the artist and it depends on the writer. Some comics can read like poetry. So poetry doesn't necessarily have like a beginning, a middle, or an end. Sometimes it just is, and a comic can also be like that. A comic can also be as simple as just 4 panels, something very short and something very sweet. But you can also have a graphic novel that is 200 to 500 pages, which I hope to one day do a graphic novel that's 200 to 500 pages, and that might have like a beginning, middle, and conclusion.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. As we wind up with this interview, are there any comic writers from the country, from the 254, that you get to interact with, maybe through their work, that you would love to put us on?
Yes, actually, there's Kinyeki. He goes on Instagram as Zord_files, and he currently has a comic that is about it's called The Big Sad Nairobi, and his characters are goats. I really, really like his work. I think his work is very vulnerable. I think his work is very true, and it just shows what we're experiencing today in Nairobi. So I think everyone should definitely check him out. That's Zord_files on Instagram.
Okay. Where can people find your work?
People can find my work on my Instagram, which is da.gorett. It's actually a play on the word Dagoreti, so it's da.gorett. Or on the Instincts website, which is instincts.world.
Okay. Thank you so much, Natasha, for joining us. And we hope to see you in the country. When you land, be sure to join us right here on set so that we can have a one-on-one interview. Take care of yourself, girl.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.